William, your videographer from Two Hats Publishing. Welcome to the College of Complexes, being held at Barbeck's Restaurant at 8949 Garland Road, Dallas, Texas. Gently embracing the east side of White Rock Lake. When I entered, I was greeted like coming home to Grandma's house, warm and friendly. When visiting the Barbeck's Restaurant, tell them you want your reservations for the next College of Complex class.
Well, welcome to the College of Complexes. This is our 256th meeting since we started. We started in February of 2009. Actually, this started in Chicago in 1951 for the purpose of solving all the world's problems. They're still working at it. We put a different speaker on every week, a different subject. We require our speaker to take a position on an issue or express a point of view. They have to be for or against something, no matter what it is. We give the speaker an hour to make a presentation. If it goes over an hour, we cut them off. Anyone who interrupts the speaker gets reminded that we only listen to one fool at a time. Then we have questions and answers from the audience. That's questions, not speeches, from the audience. And then we have remarks, rebuttals. Everybody in this audience that wants to gets 5 minutes at this podium to respond to what the speaker said, for or against. The speaker gets a comment and close the meeting. That's how it works. Well, anyway, before we put our speaker on, we have time for announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Now's the time for announcements, if anybody has one. Anybody have any announcements? Any got any? No announcements? You got any announcements? Announcements? Nothing? I can't believe it. Nobody has an announcement. All right. Well, next week is the real benefits of reading before kindergarten with Scott McFadden. It's on your itinerary. You can look it up there. I don't want to read all this. January 31st, we have Lone Wolf Gonzalez and the assassination of Pancho Villa. That should be pretty good. He's an author. He's going to tell you about what he wrote and some things you may not know. Yeah. No, I haven't. The author of the book, Lone Wolf Gonzalez and the assassination of Pancho Villa. He's going to be here next week. Yeah. All right. Then we're going to have February 7th on expanding judicial foreclosures in Texas. That's Judge Martin Hoffman. He's a 68th District Court. He's on it now with Julie Pettit for the Pettit Law Firm to discuss whether Texas should continue to expand the use of residential judicial foreclosures. It ought to be interesting. February 21st, John Beasley, he's sitting here someplace. Oh, there he is. And he's going to, he's an English-born author, retired after a long career with Xerox. He's going to talk about why the U.S. needs a progressive party, which should be interesting, and it's here. You can talk to him about it if you want ahead of time, but basically he'll be talking about it on February 7th. Anyway, that's all I have for announcements.
What about that meeting in February, like 14th, whenever that falls?
Well, and we have a speaker lined up for February 14th. But after that, there's open dates, so if somebody wants to be a speaker, let me know. We'll put you on. And you just have to be for or against something. It's only a requirement.
Oh, that's Valentine's Day. Are you giving all the women roses?
I don't know. We'll have to take a vote on that. Anyway.
I had a principal who gave everybody one rose.
One rose. Yeah, that makes sense. Jim wants to make an announcement. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, good evening, guys. I haven't made this comment for a couple of weeks, so I thought I would share it. I think we might have a couple of people who've not been here before, but we certainly enjoy coming to Barbeck's. They're gracious hosts. We tell them that we will order food and nourishment. We won't just come and occupy a seat. And we'll be generous with the server who cranks up and serves all of us at one time and keeps a smile on her face, which we really appreciate. So we need to appreciate her and recognize it, and be sure you leave her a good tip so she'll go home with a smile tonight and want to take good care of us next week. Does that sound reasonable? I don't have any events to announce, just the usual little harangue to be generous, be nice, enjoy it. Looking forward to it. Tom, come get it going.
Okay, our speaker tonight is Kenneth Everett. He's a master educator and motivational speaker. He's going to talk about join the math revolution, no pencil, no paper, no calculator. He's going to discuss how to expose, educate, and empower youth, parents, teachers, pastors, and community leaders using never before seen algebraic concepts. He will show how to teach certain algebraic concepts without pencil, paper, or calculator to someone as young as 5 years old. Let Kenneth write it in your brain before you write it on paper. Learn to assist those who are struggling with certain algebra concepts to struggle no more. So without further ado, please give a very, very warm welcome to Kenneth Everett.
Thank you so much.
There you got it. You got an hour.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for letting me come out, because whenever there's an opportunity for me to talk about how we can empower our children, I'm all about that. I first got to tell you a little bit about me so you know why I'm on this mission. I graduated from Richardson High School back in 1974, and then I graduated from East Texas State back in 78. When I graduated in 78, there were only two African-American males, two African-Americans that were majoring in math, myself and Nita Henderson. You know, you remember that one person. And my degree is in math and psychology. And so, you know, when you have a relationship with God, you really understand that you're here to serve. And I understand that. And so it said to me, I say the best for last for you, because I knew you do right by my people. And if you don't, when your time is up, and I start to show you all the people that you could have had an impact on their lives, and you didn't do it, that's going to be on you. So I'm dedicated to what I do, and I have two daughters. One's an English teacher, and my other one goes to Oklahoma Christian in Edmond. And I've stressed to them about the importance of math. And the reason why, because when I graduated from Richardson, I stopped taking math in the 10th grade, geometry. I stopped. So, you know, I was mad at myself because I had an opportunity to receive a scholarship from Rice University. They were checking me out. You know, I was getting all these letters. And because I didn't have anybody saying continue to take math, I stopped. I went from math to homemaking, to woodshop. You know, not because math was hard, but because I had no direction. You know, no one was saying, take this, take that. And then to find out at the very last that you get this last letter from Rice University that tells you you didn't take enough higher math classes, so we can't give you a scholarship. So I made a commitment that my girls, or my kids, whenever I had them, I don't care what you're going to major in, what you want to be, you're not going to stop taking math. So my oldest daughter, that's English major, when she graduated from Richardson High School, she was taking AB calculus. Never saw her study, and she ended up with a high B, and she could have got an A because she never studied, but she loved math. And then my youngest one, she stopped at pre-calculus because she said, Dad, I don't want to do anything else with math, and you're not gonna make me do it. So you have that one child that kind of tells you what she's gonna do.
Oh, Mom's daughter is here.
Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, sit and, yeah. Oh, for me? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I got an hour. Yeah.
We have our guest in from DC tonight.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, you're fine.
I'm very social.
Like that. Well, one of the things is that once I realized the importance of math, I just made sure. And so I didn't just come straight out of college and start to go into the school system. When I graduated from East Texas State, my dad had his business with contract with Southern Pacific, so I went to work directly with my dad. And then, you know, as you start to get a little older, and then you find out that if you're going to have a family and you're going to be the best father that you can possibly be, you have to spend some time. And so I owned a painting body shop, and then I worked for my dad, and I gave all that up. People said, you're crazy, because I knew the importance
of being the best father that I could possibly be. And so I gave all that up, and then I started to teach. And so, because it was going to allow me the opportunity to spend time with my wife on the summer, do the vacation things, do all that, because I wanted to have the best family that I could have and be the best father that I could possibly be. And so when I started to teach, I started at AMACO Smith, which was over off of Nolan Nestor Plaza over there. Tough. It was really, really tough. Because you can imagine coming from Richardson High School, you know, everybody's doing the right thing, nobody, you know, and then you go to AMACO Smith, where, and I'll share this with you because of the fact that you have to be conscious when you're dealing with young people. I had a girl came in the classroom and just cursed me out for no reason at all. You know, I could have written her up. I could have said, "Get out of my class." And what I did was I said, "I'm sorry," in front of the whole class. I said, "I want to apologize to you." I said, "I don't know what I did, but I had to do something for you to come in so angry at me." And she just put her head down on the desk. After class, she came up to me crying, apologizing, saying that she was sorry. And so, because of the passion that I had to make a difference, I just continued to teach. And then I went over to W.H. Adamson High School, at the W.H. Adamson High School. I did 11 years. All the game bangers wanted to be in my class. As a matter of fact, I had a whole lot of game bangers. Had over 35 to 36 kids at one time. And then here's what I told you. See, when you're a teacher, you have to make an impact. And what I did was I told the kids, I said, "Hey, I don't want you to be in a game, but I can't stop you being in a game." I said, "But please let me put something up here." I said, "Because one day you may decide that you don't want to be in the game anymore. What are you going to do? How will you take care of your family? If you have a girlfriend, you have a wife, and you've been in a game, you're going to have your homeboys to come over with you all the time? That's not going to work." And so to let you know how much that made an impact in the kids, had this one kid that was really, really smart. But he said, "Mr. Everett, I'm not going to college." He said, I got to get a job, I got to work, I got to help my mom, right? I said, "But man, you're really good at math." He said, I know. He said, but I got to get a job. I said, "Well, man, you're going to be okay because you're good at math." He comes back about 2 years later. He says, "Mr. E," he said, "I run the warehouse." He said, "I got guys that are 50 years old. He said, I'm their boss." He said, "They found out that I was really good at math, and I run the whole warehouse." And so from now to Madison High School, and I'm sharing this with you because of the fact you got to understand that I could have taught at Richardson. I could have been in that area. But I wanted to make a difference because I always said to myself, I said, if I don't make a difference in somebody else's kid's life, then some other kid can take my kid's life. So I'm constantly saying, "God, if you just take care of my kids, I'm going to take care of somebody else's kids." And that's what I did. And so to get into what I do, as I started to, from AMACO Smith to W.H. Adamson High School to Madison High School to Dallas Cain, I became a math specialist with Dallas Cain. So look at the full circle from Richardson High School to AMACO Smith, W.H. Adamson High School, then James Madison High School, then Dallas Cain as a math specialist. My principal said he got to be the superintendent. He said, "Mr. Everett, I'd like for you to come with me and be my math specialist." And this is the truth. I said, Mr. Ward, I said, "I would love to come." I said, "But God's got something special for me to do." And I said, if I come with you and he tells me to do it, I'm going to have to go. And he said, "Okay." So the principal that took his position, my first day, I try to find out about the kids. So on my lesson plan, I said, I'm finding out about the kids. She replies back, "You should have been teaching the first day of school." I'm like, I'm out of here. See, because when you're in that type of environment, you got to find out if the kid's dad is locked up. You know, you got to be able to, "Hey, who you living with?" You know, how your grandmama doing? So I could actually relate to them and ask them how they doing, to talk to them. So when she said that, I called Mr. Ward back up. I said, Mr. Ward, I'll come with you and I'll commit for 1 full year. And so at Texarkana, I was traveling to Houston, to San Antonio, to Austin. I was going to all those different schools. And I started saying, God, it's the same problem everywhere. The kids don't have a foundation. When the kid starts to struggle, they want to give them the calculator. Now, it's a place and a time for the calculator. But if you give it to the kid too soon, it becomes a crutch. And he's going to have that crutch the rest of his life. And so I said, this ain't right. These kids don't have to struggle like that. And so I understand that you have to be a motivator, an educator, and an entertainer all in the same thing to get the kids' attention. And so let me just get into what I do so you can understand how it can help you to make an impact. Because I take and I show parents how to take a 3-year-old and start teaching him algebra concepts. I took and I created a math concept book. It's thin, right? Well, for my psychology part of it, if you got a big, thick algebra book, who wants to look at it? No one. The reason why I made this small like this is because when I was going to Richardson High School, a lot of kids didn't understand how I could pass classes and still be on the park playing basketball. You know, still be, man, how you pass it? Because I had notes in my pockets. I had English in this pocket, math in this pocket, history in this pocket back here. I had notes in my socks. So when I'm walking home, I'm studying because I was utilizing my time. I'm studying, I put it back in this pocket, and I keep going. I pull out my sock, and I'm looking at it, and keep going. Then it's, okay, it's my time to play. I'm playing, I lose. I'm back studying. So I said, okay, I have to make something that they can carry with them all the time. So to keep it simple. And so with it being like this, the book being like this, it makes it where I can put a lot of information in there. And so that I can really get your mind where you need to be to see what I'm saying is real, I got to start showing you something, okay? Because my slogan is, my company is the Kenneth Everett Math Revolution. No pencil, no paper, no calculator. We write it on your brain before you write it on your paper. So let me just give you a visual picture, okay? See, because most times if there's a visual picture, you can continue to recall it over and over again. So I got a lady right now, she got a 3-year-old. She came to one of my classes because I empower parents, grandparents with my class that I teach. And the visual thing is, you take a 3-year-old, and this is what you do. We talk about. Now I'm gonna go back to when I had to go to Oklahoma, and I did a workshop, and I had this little kindergartner. His legs wouldn't even touch the ground. Okay, so I'm like, I want you to understand that a line has an equation that's y equals mx plus b. And I said, okay, what I need for you to do, I need for you to look in the room and find me something that has an equation of y equals mx plus b. I didn't say find me a line. See, because what I'm trying to do is get this y equal mx plus b in the brain. So look here, said, nah. And now he looks down and he sees the legs on the table. The legs on the table, Excellent. Whoa. The picture on the wall. See, now the visual is starting to take its impact. And see, so as a parent, a grandparent, all you tell a kid is that a line has an equation of y equal mx plus b. Now, let's reinforce that. You drive down the street. Because I did this with my girls. Okay, I said, look out the window and find me something that has an equation of y equals mx plus b. Because I'm trying to take y equal mx plus b to long-term memory. You see, so I'm constantly giving it to her over and over again. So she looks out the window and says, the yellow line in the road, the telephone pole. See, now it's starting to stick on the brain what it is. Y equals mx plus b is a line. So if it's, and I told my parents, I said, he's 3, she's 3. What if it take him a whole year to learn? Now he's 4. You know what I'm saying? So what's the problem? He's 4 now. And you can do that with a kid because, and here's the other thing, okay? Because when I do, all my stuff I do is PowerPoints. Okay, some of my problems that I have my PowerPoints built, I got like 20 hours. One problem. The STAR test that the kids are taking, I show over 30 problems. No pencil, no paper, no calculator. Because I give the foundation. You know, when you teach to a test, the test is going to change, but the concept that they're teaching you never change. So if you learn the concept, it doesn't make any difference how you change the test. And so another thing is this, is that when you take the y equal to x plus b, like my PowerPoint, here's how my PowerPoint starts off. It starts off with a point. How old you gotta be to see it's a point? Then it's another point. Then I make the line come through. Now 2 points makes a line. But see, when you explaining something, you have to go into, my thing is that I always say, never miss an opportunity to give a child some math knowledge. Never miss it. So my thing is, don't just tell them 2 points, tell them that a line is made up of nothing but points. And they just touch them together. That's all. That's all they're doing. And it's endlessly. And then if you really want to get serious about teaching, say, well, I just did that, but you really made a line segment. You need to put them little points on the end to make it a line. That means it keeps going on and on. Now, we're just introducing the line. Now I'm gonna break down. That's why when I'm teaching, they ask me to come in. I do MATLAB, I do Youth Village, I do JDC. I go in, I tutor to 70-something kids at one time. That's why I build my PowerPoints. Because in my building my PowerPoint, it's always been to the slowest kid in the class. Because think, when I was doing my lesson plans, I'm thinking about the slowest kid in the class. Because if I get him, if he understands, I have everyone. But then I also created to where it's not boring to where the smartest kid doesn't get where he's like not want to pay attention. So now you have the whole class and understanding what's going on. So then you take and you said, okay, we got y equal to x plus b. So what you do is you break down and make sure that the kid understands everything. So you start with the b. Oh, what's the b? Oh, the b is the starting point. That's where you're going to start at. Okay? You got to start with the b. And the b is also the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? Oh, that's where when you draw that line, it crosses through another line. See, I hadn't gone into the x-axis and the y-axis yet. See, that depends on how sharp your kid is. Because if you don't do that, they're going to ask that question. What's that line right there? What's that? See, now you're getting the kid to where he really wants to know what's going on. Because my thing is, instead of just telling them all of it, let them start asking questions. And then you can start explaining, oh, it's this. So now look how easy this is the B. It's the starting point. That's what you start with. Okay? Now my thing is that so many kids don't totally understand the M. I make sure that they totally understand the M because I'm looking down the road when we start dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines, all you have to be concerned with is the M, the slope. You don't have to worry about the y-intercept because parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines, one's negative, one's positive. It's the reciprocal. Or your kids like, this one's on top, this one on the bottom. You're just going to change it up, put that one on the top, that one on the bottom. But one of them got to be a negative. And see, what I do is I teach test-taking skills at the same time that you're teaching the concept. Because think about it. If you tell a kid that perpendicular lines, one's got to be negative, one's got to be positive. And it's got to be reciprocal. That means the test-taking skill is that if they say, I'm giving you a negative slope, what's going to be the other equation? Well, I know that if it's a negative slope, the other one's got to be a positive. So I'm going down the test. I'm saying, can't be this one, can't be this one. So you got to teach the test-taking skills at the same time that you're teaching the concept. That's why my book is called Knowledge Plus Skills. Okay? So now, I'm going to have it to where everybody here going to understand the slope. Look. The M is the slope, and I give out all, it's the rate, it's the change in y over change in x, it's delta y over delta x, Okay, but let me make sure you understand it. Since the rate is consistent, it stays the same. So now let's take your 3-year-old. Okay, he's in the mall. Because what happened with this lady, her son, every time he gets to the mall, he's running to the escalator. Mommy, it's a positive slope, I'm going up. It's reinforcing. Mommy, I'm going down, it's a negative slope. Then he gets to the floor, it's a horizontal line. It has a slope of 0. Mommy, I'm almost at the bottom, it's going to be 0. 3. That's easy. Because every time you take him to the mall, every time he's in the house, he's going up the stairs, he's doing it, it's reinforcing. Total understanding. Now let's make it to where you understand the M. The M represents the steps. Okay, because see, when they start dealing with the STAR test, they start talking about, is it getting steeper or is it getting flatter? Okay, so we're going to relate that to the steps. The more steps, the steeper it is. That's not hard. The less steps, that means it's getting closer and closer to 0. How old you got to be to understand that? See, that makes it make sense. Now you can because like I said, I never miss an opportunity to teach. Because my thing is, I tell kids, I said, you don't have to like the teacher. All you're going in there to do is get you some more math knowledge. That's it. She ain't got to like you. She just need to give you some knowledge. That's your job, is to go in there and get all the math knowledge. So now what happens is that as that kid is going up the still, if you wanted to teach him, if he wants to start counting, he can start counting the steps. If he's going to the steps, he's starting to count. So you can work with him any way you want to, so he's counting steps. Okay? Now if you want to start asking some questions, we're talking about asking a kid a high-level question that's at 3. You say, okay, since he knows that the M represents the step, and you got y equals mx plus b represents the line, because if you think about it, when the step rise over run, it's going to make a line, because it's going up, over. That's 2 points. Up, over. That's another point. Up, over. I draw it, it makes a line. Because it's rise over run. Rise over run. Rise over, it's the rate. Why is it the rate? It's constant. It stays the same. See, so you can start relating to your kids. You say, well, you know, the slope is like mom and dad, you know, we got this car and we make a payment every month. And it's the same darn payment every month. That's the rate. That's those steps that you've been doing when you go to the mall. You want to run up the steps. You want to get. It's making sense. It's just making sense to the kid because he's doing it and it's reinforcing over and over and over and over again. So then you can start posing and asking questions. Okay, the question is, okay, you have an equation that has, it's y equals to 8x plus 3, and you have another equation that has y equals to 2x plus 3. Which one is the steepest? If the kid can count, you see, then he knows that the one that has the most steps, which is the M, is the steepest. That's not hard. So now what happens is the kid is starting, because think about it. If that kid's going, yeah, I'm doing, can you imagine a 3-year-old, well, I'm learning some algebra. Like, oh, come on, who is this kid trying to fool? See, so now what happens is he starts, because everyone wants to be patted on the back, especially kids. I never talk down to kids. Over 20, probably about 28 years. 2 referrals. And we talking about Madison, we talking about Emerson Smith, we talking about those schools that kids saying, teachers saying, I gotta put these kids out. I'm saying, no, I'm gonna show them some love. And so what I always did with kids, I show them respect. Say, when last time Mr. E disrespected you? Well, now, Mr. you have it. So how you gonna disrespect me? I'm the grown person, and I'm giving you more respect than you'll give me. You can't do me like that. I didn't have to beat him up. I didn't have to talk crazy to him. I just worked on his heart. You better than that, man. You can treat me better than that. And so changing the attitude, and I say that to say this, if you get a kid and you change his attitude toward math, he gonna bug you to death. I used to play a game with my girls because my thing is that I'm a positive person. Okay, so if I'm positive, I'm smiling, it's gonna rub off on my girls, and it did, you know. So I used to play a game with my daughters, and it was the game of 5. And matter of fact, I got a guy. We put some things together on that right now, and we'd be riding down the street, and I said, we're gonna play this game. I said, now you got to really listen, because think about this. So many kids right now, their listening skills are 0. Seriously. Just go be in the grocery store and see the parent. I told you, stop it. I told you, stop it. He ain't listening. You see what I'm saying? So one of the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that I developed my daughters some keen listening skills. I'm like, no, I'm saying you're gonna listen. See, because if I do that, that means that when you go into the classroom, if the little Johnny is messing with you, a little Susie is messing with you, because you got that keen listening skill, you can still hear what the teacher's saying. So what we did with the game of 5 was, we said, okay, now, this game gonna get a little hard because your listening skills, and I said, okay, you got 5 hours. You give your mom 1, you give your sister 1, how many you have left? Okay, good, you got it right. Okay, now see, now with just that game of 5, I can make it as challenging as I want. And I used to do that. I said, okay, you give your mama 1, you give your sister 1, you give me 1, I give you 1 back, how many you have? Wait a minute, Daddy, wait a minute, you went too fast. No, you need to listen. So guess what because the kid is trying to please the parent. So when the kid is trying to please the parent, the kid is like, wait a minute, one more time, okay? I'm gonna give you 1 more time. You better be listening. So, and guess what? That's all the time in the car. So guess what would happen? I get in the car and she say, Dad, we're gonna play that game? Oh, I'm sorry about that. I said, I'm sorry, I thought it was me. So we get in the car and she always wanna play the game. Let's play the game, Dad. Oh man, I don't feel like the right. Daddy, I wanna play. Okay, so guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it super hard. So she wanna stop. So I said, okay, you got 5 hours, give me 1, you sister 1, you give me 1 back, and I give that back to you, then you got 1, how many you got left? Oh, Dad, you know I don't know what that is. I said, okay, I'm gonna do 1 more, and if you get it right, you win. See, because you have to let the child be, they gotta win. If you don't let them win when they're young, how's it gonna be for them to win when they get older? And that's what I would make it hard, but they'd always win. Dang, you just keep beating me. I can't beat you. My daughter right now goes over to Oklahoma Christian 4.0. Here's what I did. She said she went to Richardson too. Okay, here's what I did with my daughter. And she's taking all pre-AP classes, all AP classes at Richardson. She get her paper and she come back and she get on at 98. I say, dang, what happened to the other 2 points? Right? So she's like, oh. So it turned her into where she always wanted to give her very best. I remember when she was, it was so funny because she was taking a class over Richland during the summer, and I saw her coming out, and I knew what was going on because she had that look on her face. I said, "What happened to me?" She said, "Daddy, it was 108, and I made 104, and I don't know what happened. I was thinking about those other 4 points." She made 104, she's thinking about the other 4 points. Because I conditioned her to give your very best. And I always tell my girl, I said, if you give your very best, it becomes a habit. And you'll be giving your best and you don't even know it. That's what is happening for her in college. And then my oldest daughter, she was so smart because she could remember stuff. So she halfway studied. She says today, Dad, I didn't give her about 75%. I said, I know. Because the grades came too easy for you. Because she could remember stuff. And so for the math part, the thing is that you take your kid and you make it to where they enjoy math at an early age. And people say, I was talking to a group of parents and said, wow, my kid, he talking about teaching my kid out, my kid's struggling already 3rd, 2nd, 3rd grade. And here's what I told him. I said, okay, math is a language. And to kids and to some people, it's a foreign language. Okay? But I said to this, I said, if I gave you a plate and I put a steak in it on the plate, I put some mashed potatoes, and I put some corn, could you tell me which one is a steak? That's the same way it is with algebra. It's on the plate. You got first grade material, second grade material, and you got the steak, the algebra concept. It's not going to confuse the kid. See, that's what I try to say. It's not going to confuse the kid. And the reason why I try to be at a point of trying to let people know you gotta start early, because of the fact that you're not guaranteed that your child is going to get a good algebra teacher. And if your child don't get a good algebra teacher, it's over. I'm just being real. I'm just telling you real. It's just over. Because they're going to struggle from that point on. The pre-calculus, the calculus is out the window. So if you have to start early, getting the kid to fall in love, so people probably saying, well, Mr. Everett, could you teach my kid to the 5th grade for, I really don't, I want to get the algebra for. I got one kid down that I tutor. He lives 3 doors down from me. His mom asked me to tutor him, a little Indian kid. And she said, how did you do math, Mr. Everett? She said, my kid is struggling in the second grade. And she said, if you could commit to me, because I tuned him one time, and he asked his mom, when is he coming back? Because, like I told you, motivator, educator, and entertainer. So I'm entertaining the kid. So he's excited. And so he asked his mom, when are you coming back? When can he come back? So his mom and dad asked him, said, Mr. Everett, he said, they had him in cum laude. He said, if you could commit to us for 1 hour a week, would you tutor our kid? I said, yeah. Start this past summer. He was in second grade, he was struggling. His mom came and told me that the teacher said this kid has the ability to be the valedictorian. I tutored him on Wednesdays, and he took a test, and I told his mom the same thing that I did my kid. He made 98. She asked him, "Why don't you have 2 points?" Mom, I know I was thinking about those 2 points myself. I know I should have made 100. Changed his attitude. That's what we have to do. We got to change these kids' attitudes. Because 75% of the crime in the United States is done by the dropouts. Yeah. It is so much going, because I've got a proclamation from what I do, the Kenneth Everett Math Revolution, from Roy City, from Rockwall, from Plano, Ball Springs, with the Kenneth Everett Math Revolution, because it's making an impact on the kids. It's making an impact on parents. Because the mind, you can take a kid's mind. I tell people, give me the slowest kid. I'll give you a prime example. I was because I taught at Samuel High School too. So, I've been around, I taught around. So, I got a senior class, kid was struggling with just negative time and negative and all that, right? And I'm like, oh man, I wish I could have fixed that when he was 2. Look, look how easy this is. I said, a negative time and negative, they come together, make it positive. The kid said, boom, out loud in the class. You know what he told me? Man, I've been struggling all this time. And that's all I had to do was do this. Then a negative about a negative, all I had to do was do this. Then a negative time of positive, it's like you see the negative, but you don't see the positive. So what's left is a negative. A negative divided a positive, they take away the positive, so all you see is a negative. How old do you have to be? And you have people still struggling with negative time and negative time and positive. They don't have to. Because it becomes a visual where you can see it all the time. When I was in Richardson, when I had to memorize stuff, I would take it and I would put it in the bathroom. I'd take it and put it on a piece of paper. And people got cheat sheets. My cheat sheet is at home in the bathroom, on the wall. I just take my mind and look on the wall. I say, okay, yeah, there it is. Because it's a powerful thing. And when I used to have to read different stories, I read them one time, that's it. Because I would put myself in the story. I'm sitting there, I'm like, dang, is that happening? God. golly. So guess what? When it comes time for me to write about it in the classroom, I'm going. Because I done saw it. I was there. Macbeth and I was there. I was there. See, that's all you. So it's just the things that you can do for your kids to just empower them to where they like, I can do anything. And that's what I've tried to do with my math. I've got Region 10 tried to hire me, and I told them no. Region 10 is where the school district go in to get information to disperse out to all other schools, and I'm like, nah, because of the fact that I need to get my information to as many people as I can. Okay, you bring in teachers, and that's why I do groups for parents to empower parents. Because I was sharing with some parents, I was like, okay, you got 3 kids. If you got those three kids, and then you send one kid, that means that kid gets all that knowledge, and then he leaves. Now you got to worry about these other 2 kids. But if you came yourself, my oldest person out too was 70 years old. She wanted to be a social worker, and she had to take math. And she never took algebra. I said, well, that ain't no problem, I can help you. Because to make it simple, I got some, I'm gonna show a concept that I do, and you're gonna be able to do it. I usually have my PowerPoints, but I'm gonna show you how you don't have to worry about the PowerPoint deal, okay? Here's what it is. When you talk about finding the slope of giving 2 points, it's like y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And then you got the 2 points, and you got to label it, okay? Here's what I do to make it easy, okay? It's in my book. I'll show you. All you have to do, and kids are struggling, and that Region 10, I presented to Region 10, and I presented this to them, is that you take a number line, and you take that number line, and you turn it upside down. Most people looking at the number line horizontal. Take it, because I'm working on the brain. Just take it and turn it upside down. Which that's easy. If you count up, no matter where you're at on the line, if you count up, it's positive. No matter where you're on the line, if you count down, it's negative. Okay? So I'm gonna give you some easy points to remember. We got a point 1, 2. My x is 1, my y is 2. Okay, with me? Now I'm gonna go to my other point, which is 3, 4. Okay? Now we know it's y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So that means the y is on top. Okay? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go with this one, the y is 2 because it was 1, 2. This one was 3, 4. So I got to go from 2 to 4. Am I going up or down? Up. I went up 2. That's on the top. So now on the bottom is x1, x2 minus x1. So now I'm going to go from 1 to 3 because it was 3, 4. So from 1 to 3 is what? Up how many? 2. So it's 2 over 2, which equals to 1. That's the slope. Without having to take and say, okay, why 2 was this number minus y1 was this number over x2 was this number and y2 was this number. I don't wrote it on your brain. Because all you do is take y to y. If it goes up, it goes on top. You see, my deal is you just draw a divide side. The y is going to be on the top. On the bottom is the x. You could take and start teaching that to a 3-year-old. Because what you do is I would take a number line and I would give the number line to these kids. Some kids would have to take and count them. The reason why I would do that because a lot of kids, this is just the way, when they count, they don't understand you don't count where you're standing at. You count when you move away from it. But some kids, that's a struggle for some kids until you point it out to them visually. They say 1, no, it ain't 1, you ain't went nowhere. It's only 1 when you move. So my thing is that it's always trying to figure out what is going wrong with the kids and what I understand. And I've been able to do that because of the schools that I've taught at. The gangbangers, the ones that don't want to come to school. Well, think about it. You go, how you gonna mess up in Mr. Everett class? You ain't gotta have no pencil, you ain't gotta have no paper. See, kids look for excuses. See, if if the kid look think about this, because this is serious, and this is why I try to tell people, if you go into the classroom and you ain't got to worry about taking no notes, all you got to do is go in there and sit and pay attention. Just look. See, because like I told you, I do PowerPoints. And the reason why I spend so much time on PowerPoint is because teachers sometimes make it uncomfortable for kids to ask questions. That's a problem. That's a real serious problem. I tell people a math class was designed for people to ask questions. That's what it's supposed to. It's a class for kids to ask questions. And if the teachers make you feel like you're the dummy in the class, you're not gonna ask no questions. You're like, man, I don't answer no questions. I had a lady, and I went and tutored her daughter that night. She called me up and she said, Mr. Evans, she said, my daughter has a test tomorrow, and she said she don't want to go to school. She said, Mama, can I please stay at home? And I went over and tutored her daughter just so that she would go to school. How much time am I gone? See, when I get excited about what I do, but I know I gotta watch the time. How much time I got? You got a half hour. I got a half hour. Okay. I'm gonna go about 15 minutes. Now here's the deal. I'm going 15 minutes because here's what I understand. See, let me tell you why I'm a motivator, educator, and entertainer. You gotta detour off for kids. You can't stay and try to keep teaching. They're not gonna get it. I tell people now, it used to be wait time. How many people when teachers used to wait for their kids to try to catch up? You know, he's like, he's gonna get them waiting for him. Wait time now is summer school. Teachers don't have time to wait. They got so much on them to do, they just say, I can't, he gotta go to summer school. So what I would do is I would detour off. And the detour off was for the slow kid, because if you're slow in math and you're struggling, he's like, man, I'm gonna try to figure this out because he might call on me. So you're giving that kid an opportunity to see if he can do it, and so now if he does, his confidence goes up. You know. So what I'm gonna do now, because see, one of the things I do understand too is that when it gets kind of late, people get tired. So I wanted to make sure that you can ask me something, ask me some questions. So is it okay if because I could go on and on.
No, you got an hour if you want it, or less. Yeah.
Okay, but my thing is that I understand is that people have questions that they want to ask. And when they have a question they want to ask, it's on their mind at that particular time. And if you keep on going, that question is like, you should have let me ask that question when I wanted to. So, but you can go online. My book is online. It's $25. Okay, and it's online. And I got a lot of information in my book. I'm gonna go through one thing. Check this out. And I tell people all the time is this.
What website?
It's my website is easy. No pencil, no paper.com. No pencil, no paper.com. See, and this last thing, the laws of exponent. The kids don't even know them. When you get ready to take SAT, ACT, if you don't know the laws of exponent, look. Here's the deal. Tell me how hard it would be for you to take. I want to bring this out. Your 3-year-old or your 2-year-old, and all you tell them is that if you have something that has a little zero up above it, it's going to equal to 1. That's easy. You can start there. The kid could be saying, I understand the zero exponent law because anything to the 0 power equals 1. So I've got the laws in there. I've got just a lot of information that will make it easy for the kids. And I'm going to turn it over to questions. Anybody got any questions? Okay.
Stay there. Okay.
Who's got a question? Is this thing working? Yeah, who's got a question? Who's first?
I have to make this question. So I'm going to say, do you know that from 1995 to 2005, I was the school psychologist in South Dallas. I went from A. Maceo Smith to Lincoln to Madison, the H.S. Thompson, Pearl C. Anderson, and anyway, I just want to tell you that.
So you know the challenge is.
Behind you.
And you must have had I don't know if you can do this. You have such a positive attitude. Can you speak to the challenges that you face in dealing? I'm also taught at Zumwalt and Carl Martin Elementary in that area. Can you speak to this group, the challenges that you face?
I had a lot of challenges. One of the things that I always tried to do when I was in that type of environment, I always tried to not let the kids see the worst side of me. That was the key for me, because a lot of times the kids would know they done got next to me, and I would still be smiling. And I always told them at the beginning of the school year, I tell people, hey, I'm the nicest person that you want to meet. I said, I'm going to be nice to you. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you more respect than you and show me from the start. I said, but please, don't push the wrong button with Mr. Everett. I just tell them. And I got to show this example. I have to show this. This is the only time that I really lost it. And I really don't like to show this, but I will. Okay, I'm at Madison. So this little kid, little short kid, little style, I always want to be joking. And I'm like, when I'm trying to reach my kids and I see this kid really trying, then I'm saying it can't be no distraction because this kid really wants to learn. So I said, Dustin, man, he was singing. Dustin, man, you got to stop all that singing. I said, Dustin, you got to stop the singing, man. I said, I'm asking as nice as I can, man. You got to stop. Oh, Mr. Everett, everybody going to stop singing. I said, Dustin, not Dustin. The kid said, Dustin, man, Mr. Everett, he's getting a little upset. I mean, I don't care. I said, Dustin, I'm here. So I told him, I said, Dustin, I'm here, man. I said, you need to stop the singing. Oh, man. So I went over and he was sitting in the chair. And I flipped him up. Said, duh, I just like this. He flipped back, he jumped up, and he came toward me. Before I knew it, I had grabbed him up like this, picked him up like this. I said, I'll just drop you like a baby. And I dropped him almost like to the ground about this far, right? And the kid's like, oh, I'm in Madison. Mr. Everett was rocking Dustin like a baby, man, all over the school, right? He stormed out the classroom, he cursing me out. And I don't know if y'all know Mr. Gales, Jimmy Gales, that was, okay. Mr. Gales was the principal, right? And I had taught this kid's brother, and so I knew his mom and the grandmom and stuff. So he ran, they called him, took him to the principal office, called his grandma, say, what'd you do to Mr. Everett? I ain't did nothing. She said, Dustin, what did you do? I was singing in class. Okay. See, when you get home, you're going to be still singing, because I got something for you. And that was the only time, but most of the time, what I would mostly always do is that the kids in the classroom would always like me. And so the kids would always take up for me. And the first time I went to Madison High School, this is funny, I always show this. I went in there and I'm like, they had a sub. So, Williams Chicken was across the street. So I go in there and I'm coming in, and the kid come in with a 3-piece chicken with a big red soda pop. Oh, wow. Don't eat in class. I'm like, oh, man, you can't. I say, you got to put that greasy chicken up. You can't eat no chicken in class. But it was always about making the kids comfortable with who I am. And I was always approachable to the kids. And so that's kind of how I handle a lot of my conflicts.
Can I ask a question? I was talking to a first grade teacher.
Now I got 2 questions. What year was this Dustin dust up?
That was in 2002.
Do you think that might play out the same now?
Oh, and I'd been at home. I probably would have been at home. Because Mr. Everett, what are you doing flipping the kid out of the seat? But see, Mr. Gales knew the type of person I was. He's like, man, he done did something. For Mr. Everett to do that, he done did something, And here's the other thing, is that it depends on the administrator, who's the principal that you have. If you have a weak principal, it's hard. It's hard. They won't stand up. Mr. Ward was like, oh, no, Mr. Everett, no.
My only experience with being on the other side of DISD, one summer I was a guest teacher, and it was all the bad kids for summer school. And we weren't allowed to do anything. It was pretty wild. They didn't learn very much. Anyway, my original question. I like the history of math and science. Do you use that at all? Do you get into that kind of when you slow down times? Because it's almost like a new kind of hero instead of a sports hero, like an athlete.
Well, one of the things that I do with some of the kids, because as a matter of fact, it's a principal over at Carrollton Long Middle School, Mr. Joe Copeland. On Saturdays, we show him math when it comes to basketball and stuff, you know. Like we might say, you know, go to the free throw and make it a right angle. You know, just little stuff, because that's the stuff they got to know. But my biggest thing right now is that I know that these kids should not be struggling with algebra. So I've made a commitment to myself, and that's why I'm trying to get parents to start introducing algebra to their kids as early as they can. Because if your kid does not start to like math, when they get up to algebra, they're going to be hearing so much negative stuff about algebra till they're going to say, I don't even want to do it. They already given up before. So if you get your kid to start saying, I was doing algebra when I was in the first grade. I was doing algebra when I was in the fifth grade. It doesn't make a difference how much algebra. You just got them thinking I was doing some algebra. What algebra did you do? Oh, I did the one with y equals mx plus b. Oh, you did slow? Because that's part of what the STAR test is, they test them on. You know, so I think that's the only reason why I'm doing it, because I know that if they don't get a solid foundation, if I try to teach them all the history, but they're not being able to successfully pass the STAR test, which is that's the pressure on the kid. And the only thing I say is this: since that's what the state want, then you got to give them what they want. But my thing is, I'm looking past the STAR test. I'm saying I want to make sure that you can, when you end up, I'll give you a prime example. It's more people now taking developmental math classes than ever before. Developmental math. That means that you didn't learn enough in high school of math, so we're gonna make you take it in college. You're not gonna be able to take college algebra until you go through developmental math. So you may spend 2 years taking developmental math before you even take college algebra. So now your parents have spent money, or you spend money taking developmental math, which is, to me, I'm saying, wait a minute. Let's make sure that the kids can get it in high school. And here's the other thing: when they go to take college algebra, they go to college, they got to take the AccuPlacer test. You can't use a calculator. No calculator. So you have kids. This is really serious. A lady that had a kid that was going to Howard Park. He was taking calculus. She was angry because he couldn't take college algebra because they made him take the AccuPlacer test. And he didn't score high enough. And she said, he took calculus, he did this, and you tell me he got to take developmental math? Because the calculator was a crutch. Now they're giving you little simple stuff. They're saying and I always say it's a money thing. Because, you know, now all of a sudden we're going to make a bunch of money at the community college because we got all these kids all over the country coming out of high school because they done gave them a crutch. So if you're going to let the kid use it in high school, and you tell me then he goes to community college and said, nope, can't use it, I got you. So guess what happens to the mind? It's like, wow, I've been using this calculator since I was in the 8th grade, now they tell me I can't use it, I got to take a test? It's a setup.
Question. What's your explanation for the fact that all American children by about the 6th or 7th grade are behind the world in terms of education? What has gone wrong, in your opinion?
I think that you need to have more math specialists in elementary school. Yeah. That's the problem. You wait until they get to the 19th grade and you're going to take a math specialist. No, take your very best and give them to them. The only reason my kids did well in school because I don't consider myself the best. I consider myself someone that can help somebody. They got help down here. So guess what? When they got here, I didn't have to help them. My daughter wouldn't even let me help me. Dad, I don't want you to help me. Kids think, this is my youngest daughter, people think that I'm good at math just because you're my dad and you don't never help me. You see, that's the thing. So I think that the biggest problem is that, and that's why I'm saying, let's take and teach kids algebra here.
Question. Second question. You're next. Second question. Bush's No Child Left Behind business. What's your comment on that?
They all been left behind.
All right.
No, I'm just saying. See,
was it effective though? Did it do anything?
I really don't think so, because I'm looking at the kids that I taught and what's going on now. It's sad. You got so many kids that can't. I mean, I had kids that was in the 12th grade, don't know their timetable. How can you do any kind of math if you don't know you don't know your time? How you gonna teach it? I give you a prime example. I'm having a kid right now in 9th grade. His mom had him in I don't know what civil nursing, cum laude, whatever it was, and they told her that it was nothing they could do to help him. Can you imagine a parent telling you that it's nothing I can do to help your kid? And I understand, because I understand why they said that, because of the fact I got a chance to tutor. And the thing was, I said, okay, man, I said, because he told me, he said, I can't do fractions. Well, you telling me you don't know your timetables. See, when you tell me you don't know your fractions, I mean, you can't simplify fractions, you don't know your timetable. That's all it is. So here's what I told him. I said, hey, man, I understand. I said, here's what I need you to do. I said, see, I didn't make it no big deal. I said, what I want you to do, man, is that we're gonna learn your timetables, and what I want you to do is get you a note card, whichever one you want to start with first, 6 or 7, and take the note card and put it in your pocket. Put it in this pocket, and put the other half in this pocket. And so when you're at home or when you're doing something, just take it out and start studying. You know what he said? He said, I can do that. See, I gave him hope. That's all I did, was give him some hope. I gave him a way out. And so we live a lot of the struggle that these kids are having now in math is unbelievable. I have a contract with Dallas County. I mean Dallas Independent School District too, but they don't. I tried to show them what I was doing, and I had to get out. That's why I started my own company, because, and this is the reason why. Here's what I was telling you. I'm saying, you got these concepts that's coming toward the end of the school year. That's gonna be really, really hard. Why don't you take and start to gradually introduce those concepts at the beginning? So by the time the kids get here, you got all the kids understanding what's going on. You know what you're talking about? No, Mr. Everett, no, we need everybody on the same page, and we got the curriculum going, and this is what we need to have it done. I said, okay, fine, I'm out. I'm gone.
Next, last question. Would you say that the problem is the parents and not the children? I mean, do the parents set too low expectation? Do they go up to school and demand the kid gets passed when he really shouldn't be passed and stuff like that?
Yeah. You know what you're saying is true, and I tell people this, is that this. Think about this, and especially I try to address it to the athletes. Okay. Some of the parents that have athletes is concerned that they pass and play. Okay, so now, and I show this with parents.
You gotta speak in the mic.
All right, okay. The thing that I say is this. I tell him, I said, your kid is in the 7th grade. All you wanted him to do was pass, so he got a 7. That means he missed out on 30% of that 7th grade information. But he really probably missed out more than that, because the teacher didn't want to have to do no extra work, so she went ahead and passed it. No, that's real. That's real. You get written up if you fail. If you fail too many kids, you'll get written up. So guess what? His grade might have been a 65. And I'm not going to even tell you what school this was, because my daughter's an English teacher. She said, Dad, we had kids that scored 35 on the 40s on their finals. We had to give them 75s and 80s to balance everything out. We're in trouble. Especially since we say that 75% of the crime in the United States is done by dropouts. But yet and still, the system is making these kids feel like they're successful. And so now, just think about it. If I got an 80 and I didn't do nothing, what's going to make me do something to get 85? I'm satisfied with 80 with doing nothing. So it's terrible. And to address your question about the parents, what happens is you have so many parents that, the younger parents, when I look at sometimes the inner city kids and stuff, they didn't really, the value of an education wasn't really on them, and they're kind of young. And so they still in the streets. I don't want to say in the streets, but they still trying to have a real life, and they don't have that thought of, I need to make sure that my kid has a better life. Because they still trying to make a life for themselves because they're so young. So they may have 2 jobs because they're looking for the material of what's a the life. And it's something when you just got to be touched to know that it's not about you. See, if we can get more parents to understand, it ain't about you. That's what I understood. It wasn't about me. It was about my kids. People come say, man, you got some really nice girls. Man, your girls are so polite. They're so nice. Man, it was some work. It just didn't happen. And so they just got to understand, you got to put forth the effort. You got to put forth time. It's like that old oil change, that old commercial. You either pay me now or you pay me later.
Amen.
Interesting to me in talking to German kids or talking to Italian kids is when you say, well, why do you have to study? They look at you and say, well, of course I have to study, because if I don't study, I won't get into a good college, and then how will I feed myself? How will I take care of myself? And it's just common sense to them. They have to do that in order to live, in order to survive, in order to thrive. And our American children, and Jay and I together have 4 children, they're all grown and went to college and whatnot, but you know, their friends and watching those that went by the wayside, more often than not, they felt that they could short circuit the system. And maybe it's because there are sports athletes that make huge salaries without having had to go to college, or the Kardashians who are making big money. And I wondered, as an educator over 28 years, if you felt that that easy way is maybe a contributor to that, because it's baffling to me that the kids in other countries get it, in Scandinavia and whatever, they know they can't depend on anything else but an education to thrive.
You know, I would like to address what she said, which is so true, and I'll give you a prime example, 2 examples. I had a kid, I'm trying to get him to do some work, okay? I'm saying, man, you need to, in 9th grade, man, you need to do some work. He tells me he's going to be a professional baseball player, and he don't even play on the team at the school. I'm like, what kind of sense does this make? You don't even play for Madison High School, and you're going to be a professional baseball player? Oh, man, come on. Then I had another kid. This is a sad story at this time. This kid, I was at Madison. His name was Fat Boy. He was a good athlete. I didn't know he was that good athlete because he was a freshman. Mr. E, I'm good, man. I'm good in basketball and football. I said, oh, really? I said, oh. So then the kids thought, yeah, Mr. E, he's good. So he came in one day and he said, Mr. Everett, I'm hungry, man. I said, okay. I said, man, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my wife, and when she fixes me something, I'm gonna have her fix you something too. So I fixed up for about 3 or 4 days. I was fixing some lunch and put a soft drink in up for him and stuff. So the time not come and I don't have a soft drink enough for him, you know what he tells me? Mr. E, man, you need to give me $1 so I can give me something to drink. I said to myself, this kid will never get another sandwich from me. You know, but they spoiled him. I used to tell, I said, Fat Boy, man, you got to do some work, man. You can't cheat, you can't copy. I said, man, it's going to catch up with you. You can't just copy it. So this kid, y'all know Chris Bosh that played for, he plays professional basketball, played for Miami Heat from Dallas. This kid at 5'9" scored 35 points against Lincoln. Wow. I mean, this kid could come 2 steps past half court, it's in, right? So the principal kind of made a mistake too, because he said, the Fat Boy is going to lead us to a state championship. Bing, it's in his head now. I'm the one. Well, I tell you what happened to this kid. Went off to college, community, stayed 1 semester. Got out, started trying to sell drugs. Got caught selling drugs over on Martin Luther King at the car wash. On Martin Luther King, where that car wash is, yeah, in Madison, got caught. And when he got caught, they really didn't give him any hard time, but then he tried to do it again. Got caught again. I think he got like 10 years. I mean, I can tell you some stories, man. It's so sad because of the fact that the dream of, I'm gonna get big bucks, I'm gonna get paid. I tell the kids, I was an athlete. I went to Southwest Texas before I transferred to East Texas State. I thought I was on a full scholarship, and it was called BEOG, Basic Equal Opportunity Grant. The coach had tricked a lot of kids and said, I'm gonna give you a scholarship. And you're like, oh man, I got a scholarship down here. And I'll never forget this. That's why I'm so in love with God. I get down there, and the Coach McDonald, a jokester. He said, me and another guy named Robert Chester, he said, I don't know where y'all Dallas bombs gonna sleep because y'all BOG haven't came in yet. We're like, BOG? He said, y'all basically, Robert Grant ain't came in further, I don't know where y'all gonna sleep at. So we're like, oh man, we sitting on, I got my luggage and I got my little a night deal in my car, and I'm like, we sitting in the gym, and I told Robert, I said, man, it's no way God will bring us down here and leave us like this. It's just no way, man. I said, I'm not going. He said, let's go, man. Let's just go. I'm not going. So the assistant basketball coach, I never get said that. He said, Coach, no, Coach. He said, man, I'm the track coach too. He said, man, I got a room. Get y'all stuff out of there and go on up there and take y'all stuff in the room. I said, Robert, I told you. Then we come back downstairs. We're still looking like we sick because we ain't got no meal ticket. We can't eat. Right? He said, hey man, I'm gonna give y'all a temporary meal ticket. Gave us a temporary meal ticket, and I tell you, on that temporary meal ticket, I went the whole semester. I mean, that for me was a blessing, you know. And so we got to change the attitude of the coaches that coach the kids. You know, they looking for their name in lights, because if they high school, then the next step for them is I want to get college. So I got to do as well as I can with the kids is winning state championships. So now I get paid more money because now I'm on college. See, it's the kids still are the sacrifice, and that's the sad part.
Well, I've got the mic.
Okay.
Oh, I did, but mine was a statement. It wasn't really.
Okay, questions?
I had a question just about teaching times tables, because my experience has been that if they don't learn times tables, everything else is built on that. And you referenced that at one point. I was just wondering if you have any tricks, because I mean, it's so tiring to watch 9th graders, 11th graders counting on their fingers.
Well, one of the things that I said is, and I suggested that to that kid that was a 9th grader. I said, hey, you got to know them. They got to go long-term memory. Just take them. Don't try to work on all of them at the same time. Just take and put half of. I'm gonna do my 7 times this week or 2 days. Put half of them in his pocket, and then half of them in his pocket. And then when you're not doing nothing, don't nobody know you studying. Don't nobody know you trying to get your timetable. You just pick it out. Look at me. You walking down the street. Sometimes 7:49. Yeah, I got that good. I got that. That's good. And it actually works. The little kid that I'm working with that's in the 3rd grade, he knows timetables. Here's what I did. Here's how I did this. I said, what I'm gonna do, we're gonna write them down. I'm gonna write them down. I didn't write them down first. Now I said, okay, I'm getting ready to call them out. So what I would do is I would start calling out to them, and I get faster and faster. So as I get faster and faster, the brain is like processing. Oh, wait, you see? I said, you too, hey. And then I take my phone. I say, hey man, you finna take a time test. Look what I'm getting ready for. See, my thing is always down the road. He's taking a time test with the timetables. I take my desk. I'm finna set it, man. You better get ready. Oh, wait. I said, okay. What I need to do is, because he'd have them already wrote down, because I had him write them down. I said, you need to study them again. Look over them. So he looked at me. I said, you see confidence. You tell me when you're ready. Okay. You ready? Okay, listen. 5 times 5. 8 times 8. See, here's the other thing. You gotta let them be successful first. See, I'm going with the easy one. 5 times 5. 6 times 6. 8 times 9. I may throw it in. No, you can't do that. Oh, here's what I did with this kid. I did this with this kid, right? I'm doing it real fast. So I'm checking to see if he's listening. So I'm asking all and then I changed it. So whoa! As soon as I said it, it was different. He said, "That's not right. You're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to ask me an hour." See, but his listening skills, and that's how we get the kids. If a guy's that old, because he's embarrassed, she's embarrassed. Hey, you make him feel like it's no big deal. Hey man, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you somebody you can do it. Just take it, put it in your pocket, man. Just put them in your back pocket and stop, whatever you got to do.
I have a question. I was teaching DISD and it was very, very difficult in Pleasant Grove area, about 20, 21 years.
Still bad.
Well, now I substitute in Garland, but I do see that the classes, I see a lot of kids, and teachers talk about slipping through the cracks. But these classrooms, I've done middle school and I'll do upper elementary, they've got 30, 35 kids in the class. Unbelievable. And then and these teachers are they're good teachers, but you just can't reach them all.
It's tough. It's tough. And that's one of the reasons why I started building my PowerPoints. Because of the fact that, if you get lost, I'm not frustrated. Because all I do is click, click, click. What I lose yet? It makes a difference. I spend 20 hours on one problem. Sometimes I spend longer than that on one problem. But and like I said, I'm gonna do a workshop, and I would love to do something to invite y'all to see what I do. Till the steps go like this. So the kids say, okay, I know you lost me right here. So,
Okay, you've spoken to the issue of attention span. I mean, listening skills. What about attention spans in general and electronic devices? Recently, I've heard a controversy about certain schools taking. I don't think it was here in Dallas. I think it was probably up north, but in poorer neighborhoods, taking the cell phones and electronic devices and kind of making the kids check them at the door. And what do you think? I mean, is that helping, hurting, or the idea that they've got these electronic things?
It depends on the leadership and the principal. If they start letting some kids start slipping in with them, then it creates a problem. Because when I was over at Samuel, they tried to do it, and it gets tough because they'll have something at the back door, and at lunchtime they'll go get the phones and they'll go get stuff, and it's kind of tough. The electronic stuff is good, but the only thing is it's so distracting from the kids. Kids will get mad at you when, like a kid got mad at a teacher because the teacher said, hey, they told me you can't have your phone in the classroom, and you got your phone, and he said, hey, you ain't taking my phone. You can't put your hands on the kid. You can't touch the kid. So what you gonna do? The kid tell you, you're not taking my phone.
What do you do?
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. What do you do? Then mom say, well, I gave you that phone because I might have to call him at an emergency. So now you got to deal with the mom and the kid. I'll give you a prime example at Madison. We was trying to
you talk to me?
Yeah, We had a kid that came to school in the house shoes, right? I told him, no, you can't come to school with in the house shoes. The mama come up there in the house shoes and curse everybody out.
I have an answer, or I have a response to one of Jim's questions here. I mentioned before that I was a psychologist for the Dallas schools. And the thing that always bothered me the most was the way that the district approached the TOCS, or the TOS testing. They would start at the beginning of the school year, and they would build up the anxiety in everybody. I mean, teachers, children, parents, everybody was just about ready to have an anxiety attack. And when we got, say, to the beginning of the new year, the teachers would all of a sudden begin to panic. They had kids in their class who they knew were not going to do well, and they would inundate the psychology department with referrals, hoping that we would find a learning disability or a slow learner or attention deficit disorder or something like that would exempt this kid or enable them to make other arrangements for this kid when it came to taking the TOCS, so that these several kids in the class wouldn't have such an impact on the teacher's grade.
Evaluation when it came time.
I remember one teacher who just about had an anxiety attack herself, and she got really mad at me because I ran out of time.
Wow. Think about that.
Yes, years ago, an Oregon legislator wrote a book, the title of which was Outcome-Based Education. I wanted to ask if you were familiar with this program, because that was the name of the program. I think the Guggenheim Foundation funded it, and they gathered a bunch of national educators together to establish a system of education that they were implementing in various school systems across the nation to teach kids to fit slots, basically, rather than individually develop analytical thinking and go to the limits of what they could be. And since the implementation of that, our educational standards in this country have gone from close to the top in the world to down in the 40s, as I understand. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, it seems to be a national program from somewhere up there that has been dumbing down this country's educational system. And a lot of educators are very frustrated with it. And I know a number of states have thrown this system out, and then this educational group comes back with another name for the same system and tries to implement it again. Outcome-based education is a fascinating book to read.
I'm gonna take that out.
Outcome-based.
This will be a slight digression, but it was very important to me when my daughter was going to high school. At the time, there was some emphasis on the difference of the way boys learned and girls learned, especially the math and science. And it was very important to me because I always struggled with math. And so I would ask the school she was going to, do you segregate the math and science classes? Because one of the major television networks did a week-long study where they secretly filmed the way the teacher acted, a male teacher, a female teacher, always deferred to the boys in the class. And I know this sounds like I'm being an old feminist, but that wasn't the issue. It was that the teachers were anxious to speak to children that were getting it, and that made them feel better, and then they could move on with it. Well, when those students that weren't getting it, sometimes the boys would look back at them and say, you know, like, what's wrong with you? For that reason only, I ended up sending my daughter to a girls' school, all for high school, and she loved it. And one of the things she told me was real significant. She loved her debate class. Those girls would stand on top of their desks and argue successfully with each other. She told me, she says, Mom, if a boy walked into that class, I'd sit down, take the elastic out of my hair, and lick my lips. My whole attitude would change because I would defer to this guy. And it just really hit me. So I'm wondering if that consideration is acknowledged in your classes. If you find that because girls seem to get this a little differently than boys do, I so encourage either to segregate those classes or to take that into account.
Well, I never had that a big problem with that because of the fact that my thing was the concept. See, I felt the way that I would explain it would give anybody that got a chance to just pay attention to get it. And so my whole thing was the slowest kid, be it a girl or be it a boy. I never really looked at it as being a girl or boy. I just looked at which one is struggling the most. Then I've got to have my lesson plan so that it does not bore the kids that know what's going on, but I got enough information in my teaching to get the slowest kid.
A lot of people learn different ways. Some will learn by doing, some learn by watching, some learn by writing it down or commits it to memory. So how does that integrate with your system? Plus, reward and punishment. When somebody does a good job reinforcing their confidence, helping them to gain confidence is important as well. And then you have to create a motivation for the child. Is what can you use as leverage to make the child want to learn? What kind of a reward? Maybe they want to learn something else they something else that they're looking forward to learning that you can teach them, that if they don't do well at what you're wanting them to learn, you can withhold the information that and the instruction on something they do want to learn. Kind of find out where their head is at as far as what is of interest to them, what is it that they enjoy learning, and use that as leverage.
Yeah. Well, you know, to address it, the first thing you said was that's why even though I show test taking skills, I show no pencil, no paper. In order for them to appreciate what I've been doing, I gotta show them this long way. So with my PowerPoint build, it's got the long way, it's got the process that the teacher's gonna say, and I said, okay, now I showed you this, now let me show you this. See, because I had to do I was out in Irving and they wanted me to present to the head of the math department. So I don't know how she accepted me coming in, you know, with a big old smile on my face, right? And here this guy comes, he talking about no pencil, no paper, and all that kind of stuff. We got these kids struggling. And so I was explaining something, I showed her test taking skills. And so it kind of offended me a little bit. She says, you just teaching them some tricks. So I don't know if y'all remember that commercial, Tricks Are for Kids. So I'm like, oh, come on. So I said, no, wait. I said, if the kid did not have the knowledge of the distributed property, then he would never be able to do this. So what allowed him to do what you think is a trick is the knowledge that he has with the distributed property. Nothing else said. Done. You know, but that's what I have to do. I'm always having to prove that I'm not teaching the kids tricks. I'm teaching them you have the knowledge to do some things without pencil and paper. But if you don't ever try, you just don't. Okay.
How much of an issue is peer pressure against learning?
Oh, unbelievable. I'm gonna give you a prime example. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, so I can give you some examples. Had this kid, I think he was from New York, or I don't know where he was from, but he sat in the front of the classroom and he's like, Mr. E, that's good, I like that, I understand that. And the kid's looking at, because I'm at Samuel, I was at Samuel. And he's like, man, you making it easy, I understand, man, that's good, it's good. And the kid's looking at him like, what in the world is he talking about? And they started to hate on him because he was starting to understand. And here's the saddest thing that happened. I guess he had been in school for about 2-3 weeks, and they jumped on it. Dad had to take him out of school. And all he wanted to do was learn. Seriously. All he wanted to do was learn. And on his way home, some kids followed him, another kid followed him, and the kids was watching. Jumped on him because he just wanted to learn. It's great. Unbelievable. You know. Yeah, so that's why I do what I do to try to make a difference, you know. And I try to make the difference with my personality. You know, I swear, for me, it's about, man, I'm gonna smile. Matter of fact, kids always say, Mr. You smile all the time. I can get letters and stuff. Kids say, you always smile. And one of the reasons why is because you never know what the kid is going through at home. You never know.
Well, I always like to prod people a little bit, so I thought of a question for you on the way out, since you should be an analytical type person. If two frogs are fighting to the death over who's going to get to eat the minnow, what do you call that? It's very obvious. It's toad rage.
Okay.
Have you had any use for physical manipulation things like these Cuisenaire rods or algebraics or things you can see geometrically that relate? See, I like the relation between geometry, especially things you can hold, and multiplication, addition, so forth.
What I basically focus on, because there's a lot of people out there that can teach the kids first grade, second, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. But the biggest challenge is to get kids to get a solid foundation in algebra. Because I've been teaching algebra for, I taught over 25, 27 years. I did geometry 1 year. And I only did it because this kid, his last name was Patel. He made 100, that was the first 100 I've ever given. Because that's what he wanted, because he ended up going to the University of Texas. He said, Mr. Everett, man, please teach geometry. Man, would you? I'm like, Patel, man, I don't want to do that. Man, Mr. Everett, just do it for me. I said, man, I'm going to go and do this. You know I want to do it. And I taught him. And I said, I'll never, ever do it again. The reason why was because I had so many kids that were coming from algebra that didn't have it. And because I was so concerned about the kids, I was teaching geometry and algebra at the same time. I said, I'll never do it again. I said, what I'll do is give the kids a good foundation so that when they get to that geometry teacher, they're gonna say, who taught you algebra? You got that. It was just too hard. And so that's why I just focus on the algebra part. Because when you take geometry the first semester or first 6 weeks, it's refreshing with algebra. So that means the kid is already off to a bad start because he's struggling in algebra because he really didn't get a 75. He got a 65, but the teacher gave him a 75, and he's sitting there in geometry and he didn't even get algebra.
Well, the reason I asked that question, we had this stuff called algebraics. It's so simple, it's ridiculous. But actually, you make two piles and they equal, and it is algebra. It reminds me of the way you teach it, and I had some success with it.
The only thing now is, because I used to do algebra tiles, but I changed and did my algebra tiles as PowerPoints. Because guess what happened? He probably know. They were throwing them. You know what I mean? It was dangerous. You take out some algebra tiles and they be all on the floor, the kids throwing them at each other and stuff. I'm like, man, no, we ain't doing algebra tiles. Let's put them up. And then they want to come and say, well, are y'all working on algebra tiles? No, we ain't doing algebra. I ain't getting him denied. So it just makes it tough. It makes it tough. But this is what I do. I want to be posting up some things that I'm doing, but I can teach anybody how to teach their children. Because this is what I do. I enjoy doing it. It's a gift. I don't take no credit. You know, I know I ain't that smart. You know, I just know it's a gift. God chooses certain people that he want to do certain things with, and he just happened to choose me.
Do we have questions? Looks like we are. I think you get to sit down now.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, now it's your turn to talk. So who wants to be first? You get to get up here and make a comment about what... Dale, come on up here. You get 5 minutes, so...
This won't take 5 minutes, but I've been waiting to tell this story. I would never tell this story, and it's only about 3 years ago that I had nerve enough to tell it. But when I was in high school, my grades were just terrible. I mean, just awful. I never took a math course that I didn't flunk it. And when I graduated finally from high school, my mother, of course, wanted me to go to college. But I got rejected by the University of Cincinnati because my grades weren't good enough. So I was getting a lot of heat from my mother. And so I went up to the university and I talked to the Dean of Arts and Science. And I said to him, I said, you know I fooled around an awful lot. My grades were just horrible from high school, but I said, I lived in Cincinnati all my life. My family lives in Cincinnati. And has always lived here, and I said, I can do this stuff. And he kind of grinned and he said, all right, he says, I'll make you a deal. He said, go to summer school, take 2 courses each semester, and if you get decent grades, I'll let you in on probation. And he said, but I'm gonna pick the courses. And so I said, oh, okay. So he picked English 1, English 2, American History 1, and just to make it easy on me, Algebra 1. Because he thought that was the course that I was going to pass. So at the end of the school year, at the end of the summer, I went in with my report card, you know, and I knew I was finished, that I wasn't going to be going to college, and I was thinking whether I wanted to go in the Navy or in the Army, because I was about to get drafted. And so anyway, he had a copy of my report card also, and he read off and he said, let's see, freshman English 1, a B. Oh, that's good. English 2, B. Wow. Then he said, American history, another B. Then he looked and he said, algebra 1, F. And I thought, well, that's it. I'm finished, you know, getting an F. You know, this is terrible, you know. And so he got this big smile on his face. I can tell this was a straight face. And he says, all right. He says, I'll make you another deal. I'll let you in on probation if you promise you won't take any math courses. And that's how I got in.
I thought your presentation was very inspiring, and I would love to see more teachers learn from you how to teach. You know, it brings several things that I read years ago to mind. There was one teacher who was a new teacher in this school, and her class were just excelling in everything. And some of the teachers were in a lounge with her one time, and they said, how come your students are doing so well? What is it that you're doing? And she said, well, it's very easy. They have very, very high intelligence ratings. And they said, where are you getting that from? And she said, here on their sheets that describe them. And they looked at that and they said, honey, those are their locker numbers. Now think about that. She held in her mind that these were very intelligent children, and the result was she stimulated that in them, because the thinking that goes out stimulates everybody else around you. And they have found that the energy field that comes from the human heart is greater than any other energy field. It goes out much farther. And you teach from the heart, I believe. Now, another example was one teacher decided to try an experiment after a lot of hemming and hawing and thinking about it. So she did, and she started saying in class, well, that answer is correct, Susie, but of course I would expect that of a fair blonde girl like you. And she would do that for a while, and then all of the fair blonde people's grades started going up, and everybody else's started going down. And so then she very subtly reversed the process, and the exact opposite happened. Again, it was what she was projecting to them. Now, I think that, you know, they've found in studies that the human heart has about 40% content of cell structure that's identical to brain cell structure. Hence, that old adage, think from the heart, is very real. And you obviously think more from the heart than a lot of people. And yeah, I mean, it's obvious. And I think that the more teachers that you could teach, and teach them not only the techniques, but the feelings that you have for your fellow man, because you extend this to everybody, I think you would have an enormous effect upon the educational system in general. Because it's what we, you know, you have an opportunity. If something bad happens, you're going to react, old SOB, you know, or are you going to love that person instead, because you don't know what they're going through. You know, they may need a different response than you might automatically come up with. So I think we have a responsibility to be the monitor of our feelings, and not let our feelings override our intelligence and our logic. And I think that's very important in a lot of things. And the more pressing those emotions want to be, the more it's important to recognize them for what they are, but hold them in check and think logically and clearly through it. And I think when you have some of those little brat kids come up in your face, that's what you're doing. And I tell you, I've been inspired by this presentation tonight. I just think you're doing a great job.
Okay, who's next? There's got to be a next. Come on up here.
Hi, I'm Hank, and I don't know what to argue about here. Usually we have a pro and a con, it's political. I want to take a couple of minutes or less to do an announcement because I came late. I apologize, but Monday's Martin Luther King Day. And some of us are going to meet here at 9. We go down. Every year we go down there. So, I don't know. But it's the elite parade. It's called the elite. You look up online, Martin Luther King Day. It's like it's huge. Like it's so many people. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's actually you go to Fair Park over by the Black History Museum in that parking lot, and you go down there and you march all the way. Well, we might not even march. If you just stand there on the sides, it's still something. Yeah, I had to register one time. We didn't do it real organized this time, but I decided I really want to do it, especially with all this media hyping the racial deal. I find in my interactions, every time I meet a person that might be identified as black or brown or whatever, they're extra nice, except for the ones that are extra bad. But most of them are extra nice. So but it has affected people because the media is so pervasive, and but I've noticed everybody's saying, "Hey, we're humans," and I want to recognize that. I don't feel scared at all. I didn't want to get off on this. I know a lot about not a lot. I have like this special place in my heart for math and education. So I want to switch subjects. I want to invite you, so it's not just me and Joe, you know. Again. Anyway, yeah, I think you have a talent. You found a way to express it, and that is so excellent. A lot of teachers have their own kind of talent, but I actually dealt with this. I have 3 kids. I took them out of DISD. My oldest one went to 8th grade. My youngest one never touched DISD. Anyway, this is back in the day, and this is probably before your time. But the headlines in the morning news had, you can look it up, around 82 or so, 84. The headlines of Dallas Morning News was this big struggle with hiring teachers. If you were white, this everything race. You know, going back to Martin Luther King. I think what he said was, I look forward to the day when we don't judge a person by the color of his skin, which I totally understand. But anyway, this is when the race thing really started, you know, and the teachers, the new teachers coming in, were not allowed to be hired if they scored high, if they were white. It's so insane. Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It should be in the internet, newspaper. It was like every day in the newspaper when my kids were young. And if the teacher was white and did poorly, he could be hired because he's exactly equal. He had an equivalent. This is the rationale that the judge gave. Anyway, the point of this is this. How, this is a question for your rebuttal, how, with your experience in the system, can we get more people to express their talent like you have found a way, that you feel like you're expressing your talent? Your natural ability to teach, your natural ability to extend love, your natural ability to go with this kid when he's open and not beat him on the head when he's closed. How do we let the teacher come to the forefront again instead of the bureaucracy? That's the big thing I would like you to start thinking about, and maybe, as he said, maybe think about a career in that. But just in general, that would be my, when you rebut us, please bring that thing about the bureaucracy versus the natural teacher.
Okay, who's next? There has to be a next. Come on up here. John Beasley's next.
Yes, thank you. That was a very interesting, inspiring talk. From my, obviously you can tell I grew up in London and had the benefit of English education. It seems to be that when English people come, they assume to be, more educated than most, but I don't know why. They're probably not, actually. But anyway, I think the fundamental problem facing America is really, if you're going to go out there and compete in the world, and America is not competing very well at the minute, you really do need education. I mean, it's fundamental. It turns out that my wife is from Finland, and even though some of my friends derided her initially, they got to realize that Finland is one of the leading countries in the world for education. So the question is, they're doing so well. Now in Germany, who are also doing economically very well, they have a different outlook. They actually have an academic stream and a technical stream. And both streams are regarded equally favorably. So if you're really not academic, you just use your hands, and that does take some maths, of course, and so on. So I think it's a much more complex problem than just, just doing well. It's a whole socio-economic problem that's facing America. Certainly, I think another thing that's gone on is teachers are public servants, basically. And in this country, public servants are derided. They're not paid very well. Really, what's happened is that these people in corporate America, especially at the top, get paid enormous sums. And by and large, from my viewpoint, they're detrimental most of the time for America. Whereas, really, the country, I was a manager in Xerox for a long time now. Fred Cranton, I was my fellow manager. Our mantra was, look, our job is to make people successful. That's a manager's job. Because when they're successful, you're successful. I had a budget, I had to spend it, and I had to deliver products on time, and it had to work. Now, if we're going to make this country successful, teachers must be paid properly, okay, for what they're really worth, because that's what the country is dependent upon. So I think in this country we seem to have shortchanged our teachers, and we seem to have shortchanged the millennial generation. There's no... What's happened is education now, since 1980, the cost of education at college level has gone up by a factor of 11. So, I don't know how poor kids can face it, because the job market is so uncertain. And so I think many poor kids say, well, goodness me, I take on this massive debt, and why would I do that? There's no chance of me paying this back, because I want to do something artistic, I want to do, So the country seems to be backwards in its total thinking. And I think that has to change. In a couple of weeks I'll talk about that. But really, this whole notion of education is so important, and yet it seems to be derided. When I was growing up, of course I went to a streamed school in London, of course, but my fear was not knowing anything. Going out there, facing educated people and being an idiot, not knowing what was going on in the world. I just don't understand how people could think that they can get by in the world by being ignorant. And yet, we vote in presidents like Ronald Reagan, who was the epitome of ignorance, it seems, And America doesn't seem to respect knowledge and education, really. And this whole, social environment has to change, because if America derides education, doesn't really respect its teachers and pay them the worth they are, it's not going to make it in the long run. It simply isn't. So, anyway, folks.
Okay, who's next? There's got to be a next. Is there a next? We're running out of people that are going to speak. I can't believe this. Do you want to come up here? No? Anybody?
You want to
I guess I'm the last one standing. Anyway, I think I want to thank our speaker for being here tonight. I think he did a terrific job. I don't have much to add to this because I'm not an educator in that sense. We have numerous problems in this country. Part of it is education. I noticed here in Dallas that we're trying to put in a system of breaking down I forget what they call it. They tried to put in what was it? No, my brain is dead. Maybe I better forget it. But anyway, it was the whole idea here in Dallas was to try to, maybe I have something on it. Home rule. Anyway, they were trying to put in home rule, which was not a good thing, and it cut down on education altogether. People up north, for example, they had unions for teachers, and they do here also, and by putting home rule in, this broke it all down. Which happens is the teachers did not get they ended up not having it. So not a good thing. I don't want to go on about that. But anyway, I'll leave it go. Our speaker gets the last word. He gets to get up here and respond to all the comments that have been made.
Well, you know I'm a talker. My wife says I talk so much I bother her pets. So but the person that said it's from the heart. That's the truth. And I give you a prime example because every time I talk about it, it touches me. When I started teaching, they had what they call, because I worked for my dad's company, and then I said I'm gonna be the best father that I can possibly be. So it's not about money. When I was 24, I was driving a 450 SL Mercedes. I owned a paint body shop. I was buying cars. So it was the material world that I was thinking that was important. But then the Holy Spirit hit me and says, your mom and dad didn't have a lot of money as a little kid coming up. And look how you turned out. You got to give that same opportunity to your kids. The only way you're going to do that is you got to spend some time. My mom said, treat people like you want to be treated. And when people don't treat you right, no matter what color they are, just get away from them.
Yes.
And that's been my whole philosophy. When I see people, I see people. When you mistreat me, I'm just gone. and that was it. But I said I was going to be the best father that I could possibly be. And then I got out and I went to school. I went to teaching because I had the teaching certificate along with it. And as I went to Emmanuel Smith, they had what you call a TCAT test that you were supposed to take. I forgot to take it. So I had started teaching. I think I got those midterm, and so I had about 2 months to teach. And Dr. Breedlove was the principal at Emmanuel Smith when I was there. I don't know if you remember Dr. Breedlove. Well, they said, well, Dr. Breedlove, he can't teach anymore because he hasn't taken his test. I told Dr. Breedlove, I said, Dr. Breedlove, I said, I've made an impact on these kids, and I said, I can't leave them like this. I said, I'll teach the rest of the year for free. And you know what? They wouldn't let me do it. They wouldn't do it. She called out to her and said, hey, I don't understand y'all. This man is not going to get paid, and he wants to stay with these kids and help these kids, and y'all won't let him do it? So it's always been about the heart for me, from the time that I started, because you're here to make an impact on people. That's all you're here for, and that's what I'm here for, to make an impact. And I'm gonna close with this. I live in Raleigh, and so I was in Walmart, and this young African American kid was, I guess he must have been about 17, 18. So he was getting into it. It was about like 6:30 in the morning. And so he was getting into it with his manager. I'm like, this kid is about to lose his job. Because if he was talking to me like that, I'd fire him. So I went out, I tried to, I said, hey man, put him. So most people say, I'm not gonna, because I don't know him. I put him on my, I said, man, come here and take something. This is what I told him. I said, man, you can say anything you want to him. Okay. I say, you can say anything you want to say about him, as long as you don't open your mouth. I say, you can curse him out. You can call him any name you want to call him, as long as you don't open your mouth. That kid still has the job. He's about 28 now. Every time I see him, it's a smile that we both give to each other, and we understand what the smile is about. You know, and every time I see him, the last time I saw him, he had his little tie, because now he's like a little supervisor and stuff. And he said, I just say, hey man, I appreciate you. No, I appreciate you. And sometimes we don't even have to say nothing. It's just the eye contact. But I could have easily walked by that kid and said, man, that kid is going to get fired. But it was something that says, you can make a difference. And so I do what I do to make a difference, because I know that time runs out on all of us. You know, and it's about how did you make an impact on somebody else's life. And if you're not making an impact on somebody's life, you got to get busy. You're never too old to make an impact on somebody's life. You're never too young to make an impact on somebody's life. Close with this. My daughter, she was about 4, now she's about 5 or 6. And she said, Dad, she said, why would people say something to somebody if it doesn't, say something wrong to somebody if it doesn't do any good? That stuck with me. Because sometimes people will say stuff about people that they know it don't benefit that person. So if it doesn't benefit the person, why would you even say it? So that's me. That's who I am. You know, my website is nopencilnopaper.com, and my slogan is, we write on your brain for you write on your paper.
Okay, that's it for tonight. We're going to retire down to Starbucks. I won't be there, but you can go down there, and our speaker can go down there, and you can talk to him. He's welcome to come down there. And that's it for tonight. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
This is William, your videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please leave comments below, or like us, or follow us, and get notices of all our videos. We love it even when you call. So when visiting the Barbeck's restaurant, tell them you want your reservation to the next College of Complex class.